KBCS.FM. Well, my name's Iaan Hughes. Thank you so much for spending some time here with us today. I am pleased to welcome back into the KBCS studio Julia Francis. Julia is a singer, a songwriter whose remarkable voice can stretch from the high heat of a blistering blues to the deep, cool resonance of a meditative trance. Her art is built upon a belief that music can be transformative, restorative, and healing, that each of our own voices can also be used for such things. Julia's latest album is a 45-minute meditation for voice and crystal singing bowls called Ancestral Sound Journey, Connecting to Ancient Wisdom. The album is rooted in the idea that we're never alone, and music is one of the keys to communing with the generations who've gone before us and remain a part of us. In that, I think we find a lovely connection between her meditative side and her roots music side. For what is roots music, if not a conversation with the musicians who came before us and that made us? Her live performance is immersive, and you can experience it yourself tomorrow night, Saturday, November 22nd at the Royal Room in Columbia City. We are very lucky to get a little preview of that show here today with the wonderful guitarist Darren Loucas, who we also love here at KBCS. This is Julia Francis.
Oh, thank you so much, Iaan. We're so happy to be here with you in this incredible room of magic.
You know, it is. It is if you have never seen the KBCS studio, it is humble, it is small, it is funky, and it has magic in these walls. It truly does. You are pouring it into the walls, and I think all of these artists and musicians who've been here over the years, they just get into the fabric of the room, and it just lives here.
You're the master of listening, and the deep listening of all the vibrations that have been in here that are still here, right?
Yeah. We're going to talk about lots of things today. And one of the things I'm kind of interested to chat with you about is resonance and ancestrage. And I find myself listening, and so maybe I'm already primed for that, but I find myself listening to Drive-In, this sort of it's like this two-fisted, hands in the hair sort of grab at sex. And, the generations that have made out in the back seat of a drive-in are starting to fade further and further into the recesses. Yet it still feels like it's, our cultural heritage or something. There's something about it that even though it doesn't happen. Are there drive-ins? Maybe there's a drive-in somewhere out there in the Midwest, just still flickering its light. Talk to us about this song. Wow.
Yeah, well, it was the first song I wrote.
Ever?
Ever, yeah, on the guitar. And, it was a way to channel a lot.
You had something to say.
I did. There was a lot of feeling going on in the personal life that time. And, that feeling of desire and want and need and how sometimes it feels like it's not all right to feel and to want things. And so you got to put it somewhere. And so I tried my best to put it into a song. And I love it. It's an American thing, the drive-in, right? I mean, I don't know if that's really true, but I think of it as a very American institution. That
feels like it.
Yeah.
True or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, I love it. So I was thinking about sort of when I wanted to talk with you today, and I was listening to your brand new record, Ancestral Sound Journey, and it's really deep and meditative, and that certainly was unlocking some thoughts in my own self. And I was remembering an old folk tale that talks about a group of people who were thrown and locked into an ice house, a house made of ice, to freeze to death. And one of the members says, whatever you do, don't sit down. And they start to sing and they start to dance. And the ice walls begin to melt. And eventually the sun is poking itself through. And I sort of find myself thinking about that folk tale while I'm listening to your record and about how music and dance can free us from our own built prisons. Talk to us about the Ancestral Sound Journey.
Wow, that was pretty powerful, Iaan. Well, I got to actually a point where I was feeling kind of burned out with the music that I'd been making for the last 20 years, and felt like I needed to step away, and thought I was done, and was called into this world of crystal singing bowls, and I was also at the same time getting these dreams and messages to go to Scotland. And so I went to Scotland and had some very mystical experiences in which I discovered I had ancestry there, and had suddenly felt this deep connection with this land and with these people. And then it started coming through this work with the crystal singing bowls. And it's just incredibly rewarding to play this meditative music for people that helps us to come more fully into our bodies, to be embodied, but also to feel our connection to everything and how we're all just one.
How did the crystal singing balls come into your life? When did you first experience them?
I was in a yoga class years ago, and at the end at Shavasana, the yoga teacher, she brought out the bowls and played them, and I had this feeling of being more in my body than I'd ever felt before. I know a lot of people, sometimes it's hard to feel like you're in your body, and what does that mean? When people say, where do you feel it in your body? I would say, I don't even know what that means. But when I would be in the presence of these vibrations, I would feel my body, and I could feel my emotions and feel a groundedness and connection to the earth. And now, where this work has taken me is feeling this deep connection to the ancestral realm, and that's not just my ancestors, but the human lineage, and how they are here with us always, and we can work with them, and they have much to provide us, and also we can, if we heal ourselves, we can help heal them if they're interested in that. So As we kind of push further into that idea, let's pause for a moment and tell us, in case we don't know, and I didn't really, what is a crystal singing bowl? Mm-hmm. What is it kind of, what are they? I mean, I'm looking at this one that you brought with you today. It's gorgeous. Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about them? Sure.
The physical bowl itself?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's made of quartz crystal, and there have been Tibetan singing bowls and metal Himalayan singing bowls around forever, but crystal singing bowls are fairly new. They were actually discovered or invented in the 80s when people were creating computer microchips in them as a vessel. And somebody realized one day, oh, this is really resonant and it has all these interesting sounds. And then this whole industry sprung up. And so these bowls are made of quartz crystal, and some of them, like this one, have special gems and other materials blown into them when they're being created. This one has gold in it and aqua, and so it's called an aqua or a gold crystal singing bowl. And we have quartz in our watches and our clocks, right? And they help amplify and transmit energy. Well, the idea is that if we put our intentions into these bowls, or frankly into any sound we make, if we put our intention into them, then they amplify the vibrations of our intentions. And I choose to deal in let's be peaceful. Let's remember that we're all one, and let's help each other.
I was remembering I think it was Mickey Hart, one of the percussionists and rhythm guys for the Grateful Dead, who does all sorts of wonderful percussion things, talking essentially about the Big Bang. And if you go back far enough, in the beginning there was noise, which begat rhythm, and then rhythm begat everything else to come. And so I think about how that, and especially as a sound guy, and how integral those rhythms and those sounds are, and how they reverberate, for billions at this point of years, before there were even ears to hear, there were these rhythms that we still sort of think about, we still sort of feel. And I feel in a way that is a little bit of what, I'm sort of stumbling toward the record, stumbling toward a little bit of, what you're talking about with ancestral sounds.
Well, on the sound spectrum, it's a very broad spectrum, and humans can only hear a certain spectrum. Mm-hmm. And in our day and age, there's even a smaller subset that most people can hear. But we have such a capacity, as you well know, to develop our listening skills and hear more and more layers of vibrations and frequencies that are all around us all the time, that we don't even think about or are conscious of.
Can we hear it?
We can, yes. I'm going to just pick this up here and strike it for you. And I'm going to play the rim of the bowl. So you can hear there's different tones, right? There's different notes going on there. Yeah. So we can entrain our own bodies, right? With the sounds. Can help us come into a more meditative state, can help promote deeper relaxation and trigger the parasympathetic nervous system and help us feel more in our bodies. How's that sound for you?
That's brilliant. That's really I hope that comes across the airwaves the way it comes across this room. It's really gorgeous to hear, and the whole thing is just.
Well, I'll tell you, thank you. It's nothing like a live sound bath, right? With lots of bowls of different notes and harmonies and percussion instruments. And, if you have never checked out a sound bath, you might check it out. It's like an hour of laying down and just bathing in frequencies and going in and going out at the same time. It's quite an experience.
There, seems to me to be sort of not that much of a leap, a pretty close connection to a lot of the music you play that's rooted in blues and rock and early rock and roll and all of that. The words even themselves, rhythm and blues. It's all just sort of laid out with this. Crystal singing bowls, and I might not have made that connection without listening to sort of the two sides of what you do. Can you talk to us a little bit about how they coexist for you?
Thank you. Yeah, quite surprising. Like I said, I thought I was done being a singer-songwriter, and I kind of had to mourn and grieve and let it go for a while, and then completely immerse in this. And then this dear friend of mine over here, this guy named Darren Loucas, he would text me every 4 months or so and say, "Hey, Jay, when are we going to get the band back together? Your songs are legit," And I was like, thanks. And this last time, it took, and I was like, okay, all right, well, let's see what happens. And then. So yeah, getting back into these songs, but with this new perspective of this deeper listening and also a deeper purpose. It's not just telling my stories. It's about sharing vibrations that, can help people feel, right? Yeah, transform.
If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Julia Francis. Julia's latest record is called Ancestral Sound Journey, Connecting to Ancient Wisdom. She performs tomorrow night with Darren Loucas, among others, at the Royal Room in Columbia City. We're so happy to have you here. Listening to you kind of talk about that, when I think a lot about folk traditions and musical traditions, which kind of gets all tied up into it, there's a way that we can dig up the musical bones of the past, and there's a way that we can sort of enshrine them in new tombs. We say, well, that's the way it's supposed to be played. We kind of cast a dogma around it. Your music has often sort of pushed a lot of boundaries. I think this is like just the next extension to that. Can you talk to us a little bit, because I guess what I'm trying to get at is when the past is done, we forget that it really should continue to be a conversation and a communion. And you can't have that with dogma. You can't have that with the rigidity of right and wrong in the walls. How do you think about that when in terms of bringing all of this together for yourself? You're going to be in a wonderful sweaty room in Columbia City tomorrow night, the Royal Room, playing presumably some blues, some rock and roll, doing some other things. How does it all come together?
Thank you for asking. I've produced 2 different shows over the last couple of years that have been an experiment. And what if half the show was a concert and half the show was a sound bath? And the whole thing was wrapped up as a ritual that is focused on the ancestors and also on collective grief. And have found they were very successful, and people were very moved by. They're like, well, what is this even? Right. I'm coming to be entertained, but then you're inviting me to honor my ancestors, and then you're inviting me to just completely relax and receive something that I haven't maybe experienced before. So I love bringing these different things together. There's sort of an in and an out, a giving and a receiving, and the audience is as much a part of the experience as the performers, right? It's less about the separation between stage and audience, and it's more about we're a community sharing vibrations and, having a catharsis, and also calling in and working with other unseen energies in the room.
Just before we went on air, Darren, who's playing guitar with us today, was talking about his father, and we were talking about our kids. Darren's talking about his dad, who passed not too long ago. And it makes me think about when my mother passed. The act of grieving it's so strange, and I don't know if this resonates with anyone else, but you don't have a lot of time to do it. I found what I had to do was change website passwords, and turn off credit card bills and get a hold of banking institutions. And, that was sort of what you did in the weeks following, or that's what I did in the weeks following my mother's death. And there wasn't a lot of sort of traditional time to grieve. And so I think that's interesting that you bring that up, not only to do it as a performance or do it in a public space like that, but to bring people into that space and let them experience that. Do you find that there's not enough space in the world for grief, not enough space for that commune with the ancestors?
Absolutely, yeah. My father passed away in March, and I'm in the middle of, what does it mean to be grieving and having to go on with life, and especially in this country with such a history of, genocide, right? And this collective, the inability to be able to acknowledge what happened and feel it together and move on. And so roots music, right? I think that's one of the reasons I've always felt so connected to it, is there's so much grief, right? And so much, so much that's there, right? And I've recently been studying with some elder women in Ireland who are keeners. Keening is an ancient tradition. Every culture has their own version of it. There was the person who would keen or sing over the dead body for 3 days, which would enable the other mourners to feel and to help them to grieve. And so that ancient sacred tradition feels like it's coming back. Certainly in the Irish culture, it's coming back. And I feel like, there's so many people in the circles that I'm moving in that are feeling called to, right? How can we have more opportunities for people to come together and grieve? And that doesn't necessarily mean crying and going into the darkest places. Sometimes it's grief and praise are 2 sides of the experience, right?
Sure, the second line, right? Coming out of New Orleans and, everything else. Yeah, it can be many ways as long as you're doing it.
Yeah.
Pushing into it.
Yeah. So that's what we aim to do tomorrow night, at the Royal Room. with also our dear friend Seola Station, who are the opening band, where we're going to celebrate, and we're also going to have moments of, reverence and depth and calling in, and we're alive for this brief moment, and what a privilege.
Well, I think we need to hear some more music.
I think so. I feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Julia Francis with Darren Loucas, live in the KBCS studio.
This is a song that came through me in the heart of the pandemic, in the depths of my basement. I asked my ancestors to write a song with me, and this song is called The Well. Circle the rim before you dive in. Dive so deep, they'll think that we're dead, but they don't know how to get out of their heads. So meet me at the well, dive down deep, and bring back all the stories that I never felt safe to tell.
91.3 KBCS Roots Rock and Soul, live in the KBCS studio today with Julia Francis, listening there to a song called The Well, Julia's latest record, Ancestral Sound Journey, connecting to ancient wisdom. You can find it on Bandcamp, among other places. Julia performs tomorrow night with Darren Loucas, who we're hearing here today on guitar, at the Royal Room in Columbia City. It has been fabulous to see you again and to commune with you and all of the folks that came before us this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian, for the great gift.
Thanks for having us, Ian.
We love you guys.
Love you
91.3
too.
KBCS.